Welcome to Keep Calm and Crochet. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this lovely Mrs. Claus. For this tutorial you're going to need plush yarn in red, white, grey, skin colour, a little bit of green for the leaves and some DK yarn for the details around the eyes. I'm going to be working this tutorial with a 5.5mm crochet hook. In addition to this you're going to need stitch marker, darning needle, pair of scissors and some fibre fill. I've opted for 16mm security eyes. You can certainly choose bigger or smaller if you wish. Now before we start, if you enjoy watching my tutorials, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Let's get started. We're going to start off with the arm, and for this grab your skin colour yarn that you've chosen, work a slip knot and chain 2. This method here is an alternative to magic ring, but if you prefer working with magic ring then skip this step and start your round 1 straight in your magic ring. But for this method, skip your first chain, slip your hook in the second chain from your hook, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. That's my first single crochet. Going back into that first chain again, with the second chain from your hook, and going to work 6 single crochets in that same place. Here's my 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Once you have your 6 single crochets, pull on this bit of yarn to eliminate the gap between your stitches. This will bring your stitches nice and close together and we can start working in spiral. Slip your hook in the first single crochet of your previous round and work a single crochet in there to start round 2. Going back into that same stitch to work another single crochet. Now when you work 2 single crochets in the same stitch, it's called an increase. Going to be working an increase in every single one of these stitches. Here's my 4th increase. 5th. And my final increase, number 6. This brings your stitch count to 12. I'm going to start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch. From here on, I'm going to start using a stitch marker to identify the start of my rounds. And we're going to be following that single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. In total, you should need 12 single crochets in a row. Last couple of stitches left, and there we go. Stitch count is still 12 and your work, this piece has started to curve, and that's exactly what we're after. Going to turn it the right way around, and we are going to now get started on the next round, which is 2 single crochets. That's the first one, stitch marker back in place. Here's my second one. Follow this on with a decrease. Now when we're working a decrease, you're reducing the number of stitches. You do that by slipping your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, do the same with the stitch after that, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 in one go. Next one, 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, followed on with a decrease again. Slip your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, do the same with the stitch after that, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And we should be able to fit this combination in one more time. So 2 single crochets, followed on with a decrease for the last time. And we're going to take that stitch marker off. This should give you the stitch count of 9 at this point. Going to fasten off and finish off with this color by working a slip stitch in the next stitch. Let's grab our scissors, snip the yarn off, pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure this in place. And that's where one of the hands done. We are going to now grab our red yarn and attach that on. Now when we're attaching the yarn, we're only going to catch the back loops only. Now let's see if we can see the stitches clearly. It's quite a light color, but if I show you, each of these rounds or each of these stitches are made with strand in the front and strand at the back. Strand in the front and strand at the back. So we're going to be attaching this yarn on the back loops only. I tend to do this in the opposite stitch where we have just finished, because if you change the color here, you will see a sudden change in color. So again, showing you, there are 2 strands. Hopefully you can see the strands and the stitches in this camera. It's a bit difficult. So we've got 2 strands. I'm going to slip my hook in the middle of that stitch to isolate just the back loop. Loop that yarn onto your hook and pull this through. Keep the tail end out of the way and work chain 1. Pull this down further and that will tie a knot in place for you. Slip your hook back around that same back loop and work 1 single crochet. Going into the next stitch, again slipping your hook in the middle. Let's see if we can show you this better. There you go, in the middle. Pull up a loop, work another single crochet. Just like this, we're going to be working 9 single crochets. Each time working the stitches only in the back loops. And just like this, move that strand out of the way and continue working your stitches. This round can be a little bit fiddly, but it becomes so much easier after this. And the last stitch, making sure we don't catch the full stitch, only the back loop, which is here. There we go. And now we are going to continue working in spiral. So going back onto the red stitches, pull up a loop from there. For the next round, let's slip our hook, slip our stitch marker back in place. Going to follow that single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. This time around, we're going to be catching a full stitch like this, complete stitch. So not just the back loops, the full stitch. And to finish this round, as we said, you're going to need 9 single crochets in a row. And once you've done that, you're going to follow the same method. So let's finish this round together. There we go. We're going to follow that same method 4 more times to have 6 rounds of just single crochet. We've worked 2 rounds of single crochet together already. So you're going to go ahead and work 4 rounds of single crochet and then meet me back here. At the end of 6 rounds of single crochet, your stitch count is still 9. We're now going to make sure that the arm is stuffed with fiber fill, because the last round that we're going to work, we're going to close the gap on top. So when you're stuffing this arm, it needs to be filled 3/4 of the way. And once you've done that, make sure the stitch is on one side, slip your hook in the next stitch and guide it to go through the stitches at the back as well at the same time like this. So if I pull these apart, you can see I'm going through the front and the back of these stitches. Pull up a loop and work a single crochet. Go into the next stitch in the front, next stitch at the back. And just like this, you're going to work your way across to the side here. And last one. And you should be able to work 4 single crochets across here. Chain 1, leave a long tail and snip your yarn off. Pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure this in place. Now we're going to grab white color yarn and we're going to be attaching this on the outer loops or the front loops of this cream part. So when we attach the red part, we only attach that in the back loops only. So to do this, you're going to catch the stitch anywhere. I'm going to do it just here. So isolate the front loop. So I'm going to show you one more time. If you see carefully, there is a line appearing in the front and there aren't any lines here. This line is because those are your front loops only. Isolate one of them like this, slip it in from one side, make it come out from another, catch your new yarn and pull it through and tie a knot like this to secure it in place. Slip your hook from further away, make it come out from that same stitch, loop that yarn onto the hook and pull this in to the arm. Let's go ahead and snip that extra bit off. And there we go. Once that's done, you're going to isolate that stitch again. So go in, so where you've just tied the knot, go in from one side, make it come out from other, and you're going to pull up a loop and chain one, go back around that same stitch to work your first single crochet. In this round, we're going to be making single crochets in every one of these front loops only. Go around the next front loop only. So isolate that by slipping the hook in from the front, make it come out from the back like this. Pull up a loop. That's my second single crochet. Third front loop only. Next one. And just like this, you're going to make your way all the way around, working single crochets in every one of these stitches. So you should be able to work 9 single crochets all the way around. And there we go, last stitch here. And once you worked your single crochets all the way around, this is what the arm should look like. We're now going to work a single slip stitch in the top part of your first single crochet, which is right here. So slip your hook in there and pull up a loop from there. Make this loop go through the loop that's already on your hook. And let's go ahead and snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure this in place. And this will create a knot. Sometimes you have to wiggle it and pull. And there we go. And this creates a knot, and that completes the little cuff or the little extra detail, furry detail at the edge of the arm. You can work that end in using your darning needle, and that completes one of the arms. You're going to follow the same instructions and make another one of these, and then meet me back here. Now onto the legs, and for this, let's grab our grey yarn or black yarn for the boots. Start out by working a slip knot and chain 2. Skip your first chain and work 7 single crochets in the second chain from your hook. Here's my first single crochet, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and my 7th one. Once you have your 7 single crochet, pull on this bit of yarn to eliminate the gap between your stitches, and this should bring your stitches nice and close together. We're going to now slip our hook in the first single crochet of our previous round to work first single crochet of round 2 in there. I'm going to start using a stitch marker to identify the start of my rounds from here. Slip your hook back in the same stitch to work another single crochet, which means this is an increase. I'm going to be working an increase in every single one of these stitches all the way around. In total, you will be working 7 increases. Here's my last increase. This brings your stitch count to 14. Let's take the stitch marker out and work a first single crochet in our next stitch. Put our stitch marker back in place, Follow this on with an increase. And here's your repeat for this round. 1 single crochet, followed on with an increase, single crochet, increase all the way around until you get to this point here. So go ahead and work this round and then meet me back here. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 21. Let's start our next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch, stitch marker back in place. Follow the single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round, you're going to need 21 single crochets in a row. Once you've done this round, you're going to follow the same instructions one more time to have 2 rounds of just single crochet. So go ahead and finish that and then meet me back here. At the end of 2 rounds of single crochets, your stitch count is still 21. Let's start the next round by working 6 single crochets in a row. First one in place, second, third, fourth, fifth, and my 6th one. Going to have 5 decreases now. So to do this, you're going to slip your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, do the same with the stitch after that, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 in one go. Let's repeat that 4 more times. Here's my second decrease, third decrease, fourth decrease, and my final decrease number 5. We should have 5 stitches left, and we're going to work a single crochet in every one of these. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and my 5th one. This brings your stitch count to 16. We are now going to start the next round with a decrease first. Slip your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop. Do the same with the stitch after that, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's my first stitch, so let's put the stitch marker back in place. Follow this on with 4 single crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, followed on with 3 decreases this time. 1, 2, 3, and we should have 4 single crochets left, so we're going to work a single crochet in all of these. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. Stitch count at this point should be 12. We're now going to work a slip stitch in the next stitch to fasten off, like this. And let's go ahead and snip this yarn off. Pull it out of the stitch and pull this to secure this in place. And there we go. If we just put these strands inside, that creates the foot. Now we're going to grab our red yarn and attach that anywhere on the stitches on the top. Avoid this part because we don't want to see a sudden change in color. Catch the full stitch, pull up a loop from there like this, hold the tail end out of the way, chain 1, pull the tail end down, 2, create a knot in place, going back into that same stitch to work our first single crochet. I'm going to follow that single crochet on with a single crochet in all of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round, you're going to need 12 single crochets in a row. Once you've done that, you're going to follow the same method 2 more times to have 3 rounds of just single crochet. So go ahead, work 3 rounds of single crochet in red, and then meet me back here. At the end of 3 rounds of single crochet, stitch count is still 12. We're now going to work a slip stitch in the next stitch. And let's go ahead and snip this yarn off. pull it out of the stitch and pull this to secure this in place. And here we go, that makes one of the legs. You're going to follow the same instructions and make another one of these and meet me back here. Now finish making the second foot as well. We are going to now fasten off with this yarn and snip this yarn off as well. Pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure this in place. Put this thread inside and make sure both of the feet are stuffed with fibre fill nice and well. Now from here you are going to, the reason why we snipped this off is because you may have attached the yarn somewhere different to me and it might not end up in the corner. So I'm going to show you how to make sure that it's, for both of us, it's exactly the same. So I am going to put the feet down like this, both facing me, the pointy part, this part facing me. And then we're going to slip our hook in the corner stitch here, like this. So we're going to connect these two stitches right here. Okay, so we're going to attach the yarn on this again. I'm going to pull this in and just tie a knot in place for it. And once it's attached, we are going to slip our hook in that same stitch again and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Put the foot back down and we're going to compare them again, and it's going to get connected in this one. If you would like to use some pins or maybe a stitch marker to identify, then please go ahead and do so. I'm going to connect those two with a slip stitch like this. Now these two are connected. We're going to start our round 1 on the body, slipping our hook back into that same stitch to pull up another loop and work our first single crochet here. Move on to the next stitch and work another single crochet. Let's put the stitch marker in place to know where our starting point is for this round. And we're going to start off by working 12 single crochets around this leg first. That's 8, 9, 10, 11. When you come across this the strand, move that out of the way and continue working your stitches as normal. And here's one last stitch, and that's my 12th single crochet. Now again, moving them, making sure that they don't twist too much, because we don't want these chain 3 stitches twisted. Now the first round that you do is a little bit fiddly, but it gets easier after that. So we're going to locate our 3 chains, slip your hook from this side and isolate one of the single chains and work a single crochet in there. So we're working a single crochet in each of these chain stitches. Here's my second one, and here's my third one. And once you worked your 3 single crochets in a row, you're going to start working on this body, on the second leg. So let's move that strand out of the way as well. So here's my first single crochet. So 12 single crochets around the second leg. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, and my 12th one. Once you have your 12 single crochets around, you will be back to the starting point. So we've got the chain 3, which we've already worked in, but we're going to work on the same chain 3s from this side. So to do this, I'm going to turn it up like this and work at the base of these same stitches we worked in from the other side. So 3 single crochets at the back of them, at the bottom of them. So that's 1 single crochet, 2, And here's my third one. Your stitch count should be 30 at the moment. So we've got 12 single crochets here, 12 here, and 3 from this side, 3 from this side, which makes it another 6. So 30 all together. Let's start the next round. Working 4 single crochets in a row. So here's my first, second, let's put the stitch marker back in place, third and fourth, followed on with an increase. So 2 single crochets in that same stitch. And here's your repeat for this round. 4 single crochets in a row, followed on with an increase, and repeat that all the way around until you get to this point. Go ahead and do that and then meet me back here. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 36. Let's start the next round by working 5 single crochets in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, followed on with an increase. And here's your repeat for this round. 5 single crochets, followed on with an increase, and repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 42. Let's start our next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch, stitch marker back in place, and we're going to follow this single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around over here until you get to this point. Now once you've done that, you're going to follow the same method 5 times altogether to have 5 rounds of just single crochet. So go ahead, work 5 rounds of single crochet and then meet me back here. At the end of 5 rounds of single crochet, your stitch count is still 42. We're now going to fasten off by working a slip stitch in the next stitch. Let's go ahead and snip this yarn off. Pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure this in place. We're going to be changing this color over to grey now. Black is preferred as this is going to be Santa's belt, but I am using grey again for the same reason as the boots, because it's easier to see grey color on the screen here. So I've finished off here. I'm going to be attaching the new yarn anywhere but this point, so I tend to do it in the corner. Now, when we are doing this, we are only attaching the yarn in the back loops only. So let's have a look. Each of these strands are made with, each of these stitches are made with 2 strands. We're going to slip our hook in the middle like this, and this isolates the back loop only. Let's pull this grey yarn through, hold the tail end out of the way, chain 1, and that secures this thread in place. Going around that loop again to work our first single crochet only in the back loop. We're going to be working 5 single crochets in a row. Everything is going to be in the back loop only for this round. Second, third, fourth, and fifth. After 5 single crochets in a row, we're going to work a decrease in back loops only. Slip hook in the middle of the stitch to isolate the back loop. Pull up a loop. Do the same with the stitch after that. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 in one go. And here's your repeat for this round. 5 single crochets, followed on with a decrease, and repeat that all the way around, making sure each of these are only in back loops. Go ahead and do that and then meet me back here. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 36. And you should be able to see a little line appearing in front, and these are your front loops only because we work these stitches in the back loops. Let's continue and work our next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch. Continue using stitch marker. Follow the single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round, you're going to need 36 single crochets in a row. Go ahead and do that and then meet me back here. At the end of 1 round of single crochet, your stitch count is still 36. Now we're going to finish off with this color by working a slip stitch in our next stitch. Let's go ahead and snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure this in place. And we are now going to grab our red color yarn again, and let's attach that onto the body. Let's do that on the opposite side of this body and pull this, pull up a loop like this, chain 1, and we're going to work our first single crochet in here, second, and just like this we're going to work a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round you're going to need 36 single crochets in a row. Once you've done that, you're going to follow the same method one more time to have 2 rounds of just single crochet. Go ahead and do that and then meet me back here. After 2 rounds of single crochet, your stitch count is still 36. Let's start the next round by working 4 single crochets in a row. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Stitch marker back in place. Follow this on with a decrease. Pull up a loop from the next 2 stitches, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 in one go. And here's your repeat for this round. 4 single crochets, 3, 4, followed on with a decrease by pulling up a loop from the next 2 stitches, and repeat that all the way around. Now as you can see we are moving further and further away from the legs. I would suggest for you to take a moment and fill the legs up really nice and well, especially this part. And once you've done that, continue filling this up as we are working the next few rounds. Go ahead and do that and then meet me back here. At the end of this round your stitch count is 30. I'm going to start the next round by working 3 single crochets in a row. 1, 2, 3. Stitch marker back in place. Follow these 3 single crochets on with a decrease. And here's your repeat for this round. 3 single crochets followed on with a decrease. Repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round your stitch count is 24. Let's start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch. Stitch marker back in place. Follow the single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round you're going to need 24 single crochets in a row. So go ahead and work that and then meet me back here. At the end of one round of single crochet your stitch count should still be 24. Let's start the next round by working 2 single crochets in a row. My first and second. Let's put the stitch marker back in place. And we're going to follow these 2 single crochets on with a decrease. Pull up a loop from the next stitch, then the stitch after that, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 in one go. And here's your repeat for this round. 2 single crochets followed on with a decrease, and repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round your stitch count is 18. Let's start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch. Let's put the stitch marker back in place. And we're going to follow the single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round you're going to need 18 single crochets in a row. Once you've done that you're going to repeat this step one more time to have 2 rounds of just single crochet. So go ahead, work 2 rounds of single crochet and then meet me back here. At the end of 2 rounds of single crochet your stitch count should still be 18. Let's start the last round on this body, and for this we're going to work a single crochet in our first stitch. Stitch marker back in place and follow the single crochet on with a decrease in the next stitch like this. And here's your repeat for this round. Single crochet followed on with a decrease, and repeat that all the way around. And once you've done that, make sure to stuff this body up with fiberfill all the way to the top and then meet me back here. At the end of this round your stitch count should be 12. Now we're going to finish off with this color by working a slip stitch in your next stitch like this. Snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch and pull this down gently to secure this in place. Now we can put this thread inside because we're going to be changing the color over to the skin color. But before you do that, you're going to grab the arms And we are going to get the side profile first. Let's zoom out a little bit for you. There we go. So we've got the side profile, and we're going to hold the arm across the top along the stitches of the neck right here. Now the reason why we're attaching it now is because the neck area is open. It's so much easier to attach it while this is open. So holding it in the side profile in line with the feet like this, hold it one round below where we've just finished, and we're going to attach this on. Catch one stitch on the arm or the body, and then one stitch on the arm, and just like this, go through each stitch twice, I would say, and attach the two components together. Move on to the next stitch on the arm, you can always do this at the end, but I prefer to do it now as these stitches, because I can put my hand or the thumb inside the neck area to hold the arm in place. And here's my last stitch. Going through that stitch twice as well. Make the needle come out from the back. And from here you are going to catch one stitch on the inside here and create a loop with your yarn like this. Slip your needle inside this loop and pull this down gently, and this will create a knot in place. You're welcome to repeat the process if you like. I'm going to do that. Create a loop, slip your needle inside the loop and pull this down, and that creates a knot in place. Now we can go ahead and snip this yarn off to a shorter size and stuff this inside the body. And there we go. That's one of the arms attached. You're going to follow the same instructions and attach the other one on as well, and then meet me back here. Arms are now stitched on. We're going to turn this Santa on the opposite side, so the feet are facing the front, and we're going to attach the yarn at the back. So let's grab the skin color yarn and pull a loop in like this. Hold on to the tail end and chain one. Pull the tail end down, slip your hook back into that same stitch and pull up a loop this time to work your first single crochet. Going back into that same stitch to work another single crochet, which make this an increase. I'm going to be working an increase in every single one of these stitches all the way around. So to finish this round, you're going to need 12 increases. And just like this, go ahead, work your way all the way around with increases, and then meet me back here. After 12 increases, your stitch count should be 24. We're now going to start the next round by working 3 single crochets in a row. Second, third. Let's put the stitch marker back in place now. And follow these 3 single crochets on with an increase. So 2 single crochets in that same stitch, and there we go. This is our repeat for this round. 1, 2, 3 single crochets in a row, followed on with an increase, and repeat that all the way around until you get to this point. Go ahead and work that, and then meet me back here. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 30. Let's start the next round by working 2 single crochets in a row. Here's 1 and 2. Stitch marker back in place. Follow this on with an increase, and then 2 single crochets again in a row. 1, 2, and this is your repeat for this round. 2 single crochets, increase, 2 single crochets, 2 single crochets, increase, 2 single crochets. Repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 42. Now we're going to start our next round by working 5 single crochets in a row. Here's my first, Second, take a minute to put the stitch marker on. Third, fourth, and fifth. Follow this on with an increase. And here's your combination for this round. 5 single crochets followed on with an increase, and repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 42. Let's start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch. Stitch marker back in place. And we're going to follow this single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round, you're going to need 42 single crochets in a row. Once you've done that, you're going to follow the same method 6 times altogether to have 6 rounds of just single crochet. So go ahead, work 6 rounds of single crochet with 42 single crochets in every single row. Then meet me back here. At the end of 6 rounds of single crochet, your stitch count is still 42. Now we're going to take a minute. Let's pull this out a little bit so we don't lose the stitch, and turn this the right way around. So it's very important to guide everything, let the feet guide everything. So facing the feet towards you, so we know this is the front of the body. I'm going to grab the eyes that I'm using. These are 16mm in size. I'm going to count 3 rounds down. So 1, 2, 3. Use the shoulders as the guidance. So from here, you're going to go all the way up, and that's where the first eye goes. And do the same thing on the other side. And before you put the backing on, you're going to double check if you're happy with the positioning, and make sure that the second eye has gone into the just in line with the shoulder as well. I'm happy with that. So the gap I have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. Put the backing on now. And let's continue with the stitches. And start off by working 5 single crochets in a row. 1, stitch marker back in place. 2, 3, 4, and 5, followed on with a decrease. Pull up a loop from the next stitch and do the same with the stitch after that. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 in one go. And here's your repeat for this round. 5 single crochets followed on with a decrease, and repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 36. Now we're going to start the next round by working 4 single crochets in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, stitch marker back in place, followed on with a decrease. Pull up a loop from the next 2 stitches, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 in one go. Now here's your repeat for this round. 4 single crochets followed on with a decrease, and repeat that all the way around. Now the next 3 rounds are going to be quite repetitive. Last round we worked 5 single crochets and a decrease. This one's 4 single crochets and a decrease. Then it's going to be 3 and a decrease, and so on. So I'm going to leave some written instructions on the screen up here. So follow those and finish the next 4 rounds. Make sure to stuff this head and the shoulders all the way up with fibre fill. Finish the rounds and then meet me back here. After working my last round of 1 single crochet and decrease, my stitch count is 12. We're now going to work our final round, and because of this, make sure that the head and the shoulders and the whole body is stuffed nice and well. And then we're going to work the last round together to close the gap off. For this, you're going to be working 6 decreases. Here's my first decrease. Second. Third. Fourth. Fifth. and my final decrease number 6. Now after working your 6 decreases, you'll notice there is still a gap between your stitches. Now if your stitch gap is quite large, you will work 2 more decreases. If it is small like my one, you are going to work a slip stitch in the opposite direction and pull up a loop from there and make this go through the loop that's already on your hook, like this. Snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure this in place. And slip your hook from further away, make it come out from that same stitch, loop that onto your hook and pull this into the head. And now give this whole head a little massage. And the body of Mrs. Santa is now finished. Now moving on to skirt for Mrs. Claus, and for this we're going to turn her over onto her back and then grab the red yarn. We are going to attach that on the front loops only. So if you bring this closer, you can see there are the stitches that we worked back loops only earlier, and now we're catching just the front loop. So anywhere you want, you're going to catch the stitch, pull up a loop, and we are going to chain 1 to attach this yarn on. Slip this hook from further away and we are going to pull this into the body like this. And once you've done that, you're going to turn this way and catch that same stitch again. Pull up a loop, chain 1, back into that same strand or around that same stitch and work your first single crochet. We're going to be working 1 whole row of single crochets only, so catching the next front loop only. Going to work a single crochet there and the same with the next one. Single crochet, single crochet, and just like this you're going to make your way all the way around. And just like this, work single crochets in all the front loops only. Make your way all the way back to this point and then meet me back here. I've now made my way all the way around and this is what the first round looks like. We're now going to catch the first single crochet that we made and we're going to work an increase in there. I'm going to start using a stitch marker to identify the start of my rounds. There we go. And just like this, we're going to be working increases in every single one of these stitches all the way around. So go ahead and work that and then meet me back here. I've now worked increases all the way around and this is what the skirt looks like at the moment. We're going to start our next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch. Stitch marker back in place and we're going to follow the single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. Once you finish this round, you're going to follow the same instructions 2 more times to have 2 more rounds of single crochet. So altogether you'll have 3 rounds of single crochet. So go ahead, work 3 rounds of single crochet and gain some length in this skirt and then meet me back here. Once you finish working 3 rounds of single crochet, we're going to finish off with this red color and we're going to do that by working a slip stitch in the next stitch like this. Let's go ahead and snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure this in place. Now once that's done, you're going to grab your white yarn and we're going to create a little white trim around the skirt. In order to do that, you're going to go, so this is where we're finished. I'm going to go a few stitches over this side and pull up a loop using this white yarn like this. Hold the tail down, chain 1 to attach, pull this tail down further to secure this thread in place, and you're going to go back into this same stitch and work a single crochet and hold this tail along the top of these stitches while you're working the next few stitches, because that way it'll get worked into the stitches automatically, like this. So I'm going to just work a whole round of just single crochets. And once this white bit has been worked in, you're going to continue working your single crochets. And then when you come across the red bit, which I'll show you in a minute, here's the red bit. So we are going to do the same thing again. Hold this strand across the top of these stitches while you are working your stitches so that this thread can get worked in as well. And just like this, make your way all the way around and then meet me back here. Once you've made your way all the way around, you're going to work a slip stitch in the next stitch. Snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch. Pull this down to secure this in place, and then using your darning needle you can work this end into this white trim. So let's thread this into the darning needle first, and then you are going to just simply make this go into this white trim like this. And let's go work backwards as well. And then forwards one more time. This way the thread is nice and secure and it won't get undone. So pull on these strands or the trim so nothing is getting pulled. And there you go, we can go ahead and snip this yarn off. And that's the skirt for Mrs. Claus now finished. Now on to Mrs. Claus's bum, and for this let's grab a white colour yarn, work a slip knot and chain 2. Skip your first chain and work 6 single crochets in the second chain from your hook. Here's my 4th, 5th and my 6th one. After you have your 6 single crochets, pull on this bit of yarn to eliminate the gap between your stitches and start working in a spiral. Slip your hook in the first single crochet of your previous round and work an increase in there. That's your first increase of this round. We're going to be working 6 increases all together. That's my second increase, third increase, 4th, 5th, and my final increase number 6. This brings my stitch count to 12. Let's start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch. I'm going to start using a stitch marker from here to identify the start of my rounds and to keep an accurate stitch count. Follow this single crochet on with an increase in the next stitch. And that's your repeat for this round. 1 single crochet, followed on with an increase, single crochet, increase, and repeat that all the way around. Last time, 1 single crochet and increase. This brings your stitch count to 18. We're going to start the next round by working 2 single crochets in a row. Stitch marker in place. And we're going to follow those 2 single crochets on with an increase in the next stitch. And that's your repeat for this round. 2 single crochets followed on with an increase, and repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 24. We're now going to start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch. Stitch marker in place, follow the single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round, you're going to need 24 single crochets in a row. Once you've done that, you're going to follow the same method one more time to have 2 rounds of just single crochet. So go ahead, work 2 rounds of single crochet and then meet me back here. At the end of 2 rounds of single crochet, your stitch count is still 24. Let's start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch. Stitch marker in place and follow this single crochet on with a decrease. Pull up a loop from the next 2 stitches. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 in one go. And that's your repeat for this round. That's 1 single crochet, followed on with a decrease, and repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 16. We're now going to start the next round by working a decrease in our first 2 stitches like this, by pulling up a loop from both and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops in one go. That's my first decrease. We're going to follow this decrease on with a decrease in all of these stitches all the way around. In total, you will be able to work 8 decreases. Here's my 4th. And my last one, decrease number 8. This brings your stitch count to 8. We are now going to start working on, so this is the bun for Mrs. Claus. We're going to start working on the hair part. So in order to do this, you are going to go into the next stitch and work an increase. Stitch marker in place. And follow this single increase on with an increase in every single one of these stitches all the way around. So to finish this round, you're going to work 8 increases all together. So go ahead, work 8 increases in a row and then meet me back here. After working 8 increases, your stitch count should be 16. We're now going to start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch, followed on with an increase in the next stitch. And that's your repeat for this round. That's single crochet, followed on with an increase, and then repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 24. We're going to start the next round by working 3 single crochets in a row. Stitch marker in place. And we're going to follow these 3 single crochets along with an increase in the next stitch. And that's your repeat for this round. 3 single crochets followed on with an increase. Repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 30. We're now going to start the next round by working 2 single crochets in a row. 1, 2, stitch marker in place. And we're going to follow those 2 single crochets on with an increase in the next stitch. And we're going to work 2 more single crochets after the increase. So ultimately we've worked 4 single crochets and an increase, but we're dispersing it so this looks more circular and rounder. So instructions for this one are 2 single crochets, increase, 2 single crochets. Then we're going to go back onto 2 single crochets, increase, 2 single crochets. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 36. We're now going to start the next round by working 5 single crochets in a row. Here's my first, stitch marker in place, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Follow this on with an increase in the next stitch. And that's your repeat for this round. 5 single crochets followed on with an increase. Repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 42. We're now going to start the next round by working 3 single crochets in a row. Stitch marker in place. Follow these 3 single crochets on with an increase, and then 3 more single crochets in a row. And that's your repeat for this round. That's 3 single crochets, increase, 3 single crochets. 3 single crochets, increase, 3 single crochets. We're going to repeat that all the way around. If you struggle to keep the correct stitch count, you can always work 6 single crochets followed on with an increase and repeat that all the way around. But this will give you a hexagonal look, so hexagon instead of a circular look. So for this round, it's 3 single crochets followed on with an increase, 3 single crochets. 3 single crochets, increase, 3 single crochets. Go ahead and work that and meet me back here. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 48. We're now going to start the next round by working 7 single crochets in a row. Here's my first one, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh. Follow these 7 single crochets on with an increase in the next stitch. And that's your repeat for this round. 7 single crochets followed on with an increase. Repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, your stitch count is 54. We're now going to fasten off with this white color by working a slip stitch in the next stitch and snip this yarn off, leaving a long tail because you're going to be using that to sew this onto the head. And from here, we're going to set this aside and grab some more white yarn, work a slip knot and chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're working on the curl that's going to be in the front of the head. So in order to do that, you're going to be working double crochets in all of these stitches. So yarn over your hook, skip the first 2 chains and slip your hook in the 3rd chain from your hook. Pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through first 2, yarn over, pull through next 2. Now that's your 1 double crochet, but the chain 2 that we left in the front is also considered a double crochet in this case. Yarn over, go back into that same chain stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through next 2 loops. Let's do that one more time. Yarn over, into that same chain stitch we go, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through first 2, yarn over, pull through next 2. Now in that same chain stitch, we've got 3 double crochets in that chain 2, and that's considered 4 double crochets. We are going to follow that same thing and have 4 double crochets in every one of these stitches all the way to the end. Let's work on one more chain stitch together. Yarn over, find the next chain stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through first 2, yarn over, pull through next 2. I tend to put my finger there or my nail there just so I can keep a track of that stitch. Here's my second, third and fourth. And just like this, work 4 double crochets in every one of these stitches all the way to the end here, and then meet me back here. I'm on my last chain stitch here, 3rd double crochet in there, and here's my 4th one. And now once you finish working your double crochets in all the chains, this is what the curl would look like if I uncurl it. So that's what you will be left with. Chain 1 to fasten off and snip this yarn off, leaving a long tail. Pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure this in place. When we are attaching this on the head, you are going to be creating a little curl in the front like this, and then the rest of it is going to be flat against the head, something like that, but we'll show you more in detail when we are attaching this together. Now onto the cherries, and for this we're going to grab our red yarn and work a slip knot and chain 2. Skip your first chain and work 5 single crochets in the second chain from your hook. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Once you have your 5 single crochets, pull on this bit of yarn to eliminate the gap between your stitches. And this will bring it nice and close together. We are now going to start round 2 by working and increasing our first single crochet of our previous round. And follow that on with an increase in all of these stitches all the way around. So in total, you're going to have 5 increases. Here's my 3rd increase, 4th increase, and my final increase, number 5. This brings your stitch count to 10. Let's start the next round by working a single crochet in our first stitch. You can start using a stitch marker if you wish to identify the start of your rounds. And I'm going to follow that single crochet on with a single crochet in every one of these stitches all the way around. To finish this round, you're going to need 10 single crochets in a row. And here are my last 2. And there we go. Stitch count at this point is 10. We are going to turn this the right way around, slip this bit of strand inside this cherry, and you're going to be working decreases to close the gap off and make into a round ball. Slip your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop. In the stitch after that, pull up a loop. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 in one go. That's my first decrease, second decrease, third, fourth, and my decrease number 5. From here, you're going to take a minute and stuff this up with some fiber fill a little bit more. I'm going to just make use of my strands that were left up from the other bits, because we want to fill this up very lightly, and that does the job perfectly. And once you've done that, we are going to close the gap off. You can use a darning needle to do that, or you can just work a couple more decreases to make the gap really small. So I'm going to make 1 more decrease, and the gap is so small that I can just work a slip stitch in the next stitch, or the opposite stitch where we've just finished. And by doing that, you are finished with this cherry. You can go ahead and snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch, and pull this down. To secure this in place, like this. And there we go. That's one of the cherries now done. You're going to follow the same instructions and make another one of these. Now onto the leaf, and for this, let's grab our green yarn and work a slip knot and chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once you have your 6 chains, you're going to skip the first chain and work a single crochet in the second chain from your hook. You're going to go into the next chain stitch and work a half double crochet. Yarn over your hook, slip your hook in the next chain stitch, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 in one go. In the stitch after that, we're going to be working a double crochet. So yarn over, go into that stitch, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through first 2, and then yarn over, pull through next 2. We've got 2 stitches left, and we're going to work a half double crochet in the next stitch, and then a single crochet in the stitch after that. So slip your hook in the last chain stitch, pull up a loop, and work a single crochet. And that's our leaf now complete. You're going to snip this yarn off, pull it out of the stitch and pull this down to secure it in place. We will be using these 2 strands to tie this onto next to the cherries. Now onto the assembly. We're going to start off with the hair. Go ahead and stuff this bun slightly with some fiber fill first before you attach this onto the head. And we are going to keep this bun, let's have the side profile, keep this bun a little bit further back, not top on the top, just at the back like this. So holding in place like that, you are going to attach the 2 components together. You can certainly pin them down, pin the hair down onto the head before you sew it, or you can just hold it in place like this and start by catching 1 stitch on the head and then 1 stitch on the hair. And just like this, you're going to work your way all the way around. I've now made my way all the way around. This is my last stitch. I'm going to create a loop with my thread. It's only a tiny loop, but you don't need it to be big. You're going to slip your needle inside that loop and you are going to pull this down like this. And that's going to create a knot in place. You're going to slip your needle back inside that same space, guide it to go through some fiber fill and come out from another side of the head. And wherever it comes out, you can go ahead and snip this off. And give the head a little massage. If something gets pulled, you can slip your hook inside and kind of plump it up again. And there we go. Now the hair part in the front especially, we don't need it to be really perfect because we're going to be adding our curls in the front. Now let's grab one of the curls and thread this part into the darning needle, and we are going to create a curl in the front like this with our with this bit, and then the rest of it is going to be flat like that. So we're going to attach it in the middle like shown. So this is almost like a fringe or the front part of Mrs. Claus's hair. So in order to do this, you are going to find out where you're going to position this. And once you know where you're going to position it, go all the way to the end where this is touching the head. And this is where you're going to start sewing it. So I'm going to hold it in place right here. And I'm going to, let's get rid of this one for now, attach this bit of hair on the side. Again, when it comes to the hair situation, we don't need it to be so perfect. We can have individual styles. So yours could be a bit different from mine, and that's perfectly fine. So once I've attached that corner, I'm going to, let's move this a bit better so you can see it and I can work on it still. So now I've attached that, I don't have to worry about holding all of it in place. I am going to flatten the curl. So this part needs to be flattened and attached all the way to the end like this. So move all the bits, the flary bits up on the top, and you're going to catch 1 stitch on the head and then catch 1 stitch on the hair. the other strand that was coming out, we can certainly slip that inside the head in a bit, but we don't have to worry about it at the moment. So move it aside and just keep attaching. One stitch on the head, one stitch on the hair, the piece of the hair that we're working on, and keeping it flat again, just catching the bottom part. So again, this one, I'm going to uncurl it, and the wavy part is going to get moved aside, and I'm just attaching those chain 8 at the bottom that we did. And there we go. I'm going to attach my last stitch here. Oh, actually, I've got one more here. And there we go. Once you've attached those, you are going to naturally, let's slip this bit of strand inside first. Slip your hook in from further away. Make your hook come out from where this strand is coming out from, right there. And pull that into the head. Like this. And now I'm going to position the hair the way I want to. I'm going to quickly curl the front. I want the curl to be a bit more like this. And once you've positioned it, you are going to slip this needle in right at the bottom. I'm going to attach the last little bit as well, just so it's perfectly fastened and attached. And once you've done that, you are going to again create a loop with your thread and slip your needle inside that loop. Pull this down and this will secure your thread in place. Slip your needle in that same stitch, guide it to go through some fibre fill and come out from another side of the head. It doesn't matter where it comes out from. And we are going to now go ahead and snip this off. And if again the head gets pulled in, you can push this out up with your hook or your needle. And that's one side of the hair now attached. And you're going to grab one more curl and repeat the process on this side. So exactly the same way you are going to, so I'm going to attach these two in the front and flatten the rest. So move the wavy bits out of the way, uncurl it. There you go, wavy bits out of the way and attach the flat part at the bottom. And finish that off, and once you've done that, then come and meet me back here. I've now attached the hair on the other side as well, and we're going to adjust this to make it look the way we want to. So I'm going to keep the wave on the sides, and in the front is going to be like a curl. So I'm going to position it by hand like this. So the curls in the front, and then the rest of them will look like a wave. And that's the look I'm after. But your hair for Mrs. Claus can be different from mine, but that's where you personalize the bits. And now we're going to move on to the little nose that we're going to have. Thread your darning needle with the same color yarn. We are going to use the eyes as our guidance. So this is the in between the eyes. Going to go one round below, and this is where we're going to create. So one round below, just at the bottom of the eyes, is where we're going to have the nose. Now again, this is again another part where you can personalize your little Mrs. Claus. So this is how wide I want the nose to be. So you're going to position it to see. It needs to be symmetrical between the eyes like this, and it could be as little or as big as you want. It's entirely up to you. Once you know where you want the nose, you're going to slip your needle in from further away and make it come out from where you want it to start. And then insert in from the other side where however wide you want it to be. So I'm going to put that in here. And now you are, once you've done that part, the rest of it is nice and easy, because you are going to simply repeat this process and keep going through those 2 strands as many times as you need in order to have the desired size nose. Each time I would suggest for you to put the strands side by side, or overlap actually, because it depends on the style of nose that you're after. I'm going to be pinching this nose in a little bit because I would like it to be a bit more like a nose and protruding a tiny bit. And there we go. Now I've got the desired size nose. I am going to slip my needle in from the other side and make it come out from the starting point like this. And you are going to go ahead and snip these 2 strands down to a shorter size. Tie them in a knot. And you're going to use your hook, slip it in from further away, make it come out from that same stitch where we've just finished, and pull those 2 strands into the head like this. If it comes out from the other side, you can certainly snip it off. Now let's move on to the eyes and the mouth. So for the eyes, I would like Mrs. Claus to have a little winged eyeliner almost. So you're going to thread your darning needle with black yarn first, slip it in from further away, make it come out from 1 stitch away from the eye, or 2 if you would like it to be really long line like that. It's entirely up to you. Personalize the way you want it. And you are going to pull a little bit out further. I'm going to go in the front of the eye, guide it to go through some fibre fill, go on the other side exactly the same place as well. And keeping it symmetrical, we are going to, if you kept 2 stitches on this side, you're going to keep 2 stitches on this side as well. So it's up to you, and you need to match both sides exactly the same way. And once you've done that, you're going to guide your needle to come out from where you started the process, which is right here. And it doesn't matter if your face gets squished, because we can plump it up in a minute. And just by doing that, you have kind of created an eyeliner look. I'm going to snip these 2 down to a shorter size, but before we do anything else, we want to plump up the face so that the fibre fill is distributed evenly, and then we want to position the eyeliner where you want it to be. Holding it in place, you're going to pull on these strands, and they should perfectly position themselves. And there we go. And once it's done, you are going to tie those 2 strands in a knot as well. And pull them into the head with a hook again. Now onto the mouth, and for this I've chosen to go for red colour, but you can certainly go for brown, pink, or any other colour that you would like for the smile to be. Now for this, again, same thing with the eyes. You're going to decide where you want the mouth to be. If it needs to be a straight line, or you would like it to be a little bit of a curve, it's entirely up to you. Once you figured that out, you're going to slip your needle in from further away, make it come out from where the smile is going to start. I would like this mouth to be not too wide. So this is my starting point. Wherever you decide it comes out from, the other needs to be symmetrical. So that's how big my Mrs. Claus's smile going to be. Now guiding that needle to come out for 1 round below so that we can shape up this smile. So if we came out from just that round, it's going to be a flat lipped smile, whereas if we want it to be curved down like this, so it's a flat lip on the top, which really looks nice as well, or curved at the bottom. So I'm going to show you the curved look. You're going to slip the needle under the yarn and pull it down slightly. So slip your needle back inside that point where we came out from. Guide it to go through the starting point, which is just here. And gently pull on everything. And there we go. And that's the mouth complete. We are going to now snip this yarn off down to a shorter size. And just like the other components, we are going to tie those two in a knot and slip them into the head. If it ever comes out from another side, you can certainly just snip that off. And there we go. That's Mrs. Claus's mouth now finished. Now on to the final detail for my Mrs. Claus here. I'm going to be making 2 or 3 buttons on this side, but you can always add an apron if you wish to, or the buttons as I am doing. So with this one, you are going to simply decide how many buttons you would like, first of all, depending on the space. And thread your darning needle with white yarn. I would like 3 buttons. I'm going to start on this grey part. Get your needle, or you can start further down. Get your needle to come out where you want the button to start. Take out this yarn quite a lot so we can keep that, we can make all of these buttons in one go. Keeping the size of the button 1 round above. So this is how small or big I want my button to be. And once you've decided that, you're just going to go through that same stitch a few times until you've got the desired size button. And once you have got the desired size button, you're going to slip it in the top, skip 1 round and make it come out from the round above, like this. That's 1 button done. Now I'm going to repeat the same process 2 more times. So keeping it 1 round in between those 2. Go through that same stitch a few times once you figured out where you want it. Each time I'm going through them 3 times. And that seems to do the perfect size for me. And last and final time, 1 more button up here. And once that's finished, you're going to slip your needle inside the top part, guide it to go through some fibre fill and make it come out from the bottom where we started these stitches. Now if this is too far, you can always make it come out from anywhere, and then for me it's come out from the same spot. But if it came out from, let's say, from here, then you can guide it back in and then make it come out from the starting point. But for me, it worked out perfectly fine. So I'm going to snip this off to a shorter size, tie those 2 strands into a knot. And pull them in using your hook or your darning needle. And there we go. Let's plump up all of the areas here so things are distributed evenly. And there we have it. This is our little Mrs. Claus. We're now going to add these cherries on our Mrs. Claus's head. This is optional. You don't have to do it, but I'm just going to show you how to if you wish to. So we've gone for 2 cherries. We are going to attach them at the rim here of the bun. So catch 1 stitch, pull the strand out like this, And we're going to do the same with the other one as well. So I want the cherries to be on in the middle, and then we are going to have the leaves on either side as well. So you can position it the way you wish to. So I've gone for the 2 cherries right in the middle like this, and grab the strands now. It's a little bit off the center, which is great. Grab the strands and tie them in a knot nice and tightly like this. Cut them down to a shorter size and pull those into the head. So I'm going to cut them down to a shorter size. Use my hook, slip my hook from further away, make it come out from that same stitch where we've just cut the strands from or tied the knot in from, and pull those into the head. And there we go. That attaches the berries. Now I'm going to grab one of the leaves. You can have 2 or 1. I'm just going to stick with 1. I'm going to put that right here on the side. In order to do that same way as the cherries, you are going to isolate one of the stitches and grab one of the strands out. Because we've got 2 strands coming out of the leaf, we are going to simply tie them up together like this. And always give them a double knot. And snip them down to a shorter size as well. Pull them into the head by slipping your hook in from further away. Make it come out from that same stitch where you've just tied those, and pull these 2 strands in like shown. And there we go. And that finishes your Mrs. Claus. I'll zoom out a little bit for you. I hope you enjoyed making Mrs. Claus with me. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.